So I've got an email here from a female weightlifter who's been experiencing some lightheadedness on her cleans. And she's feeling this in loads as low as 45 kilos when she's capable of cleaning 85 kilos. She's been experiencing this for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's starting to raise some concern because it's becoming more frequent and with lighter weights. It is warmer summer months now. We're in the month of May now, and she might be sweating a little bit more than normal and maybe be a little bit dehydrated. But we're going to go through a list of most common and plausible scenarios to the more or less likely, and kind of go through a checklist. So if you have these kind of symptoms, just kind of run through this to kind of see what it might be and kind of play with the variables and see if it helps you out. So the first, I would say, first and foremost, is simply the rack position, making sure that you have the elbows up and in with the deltoids nice and high, collarbones up there to where you're actually making a rack there or a platform for the bar, keeping it up off the neck and the carotid. So if you're too low and you're depressed down there, it's going to compress the neck and carotids and going to cut off blood flow to the brain. So first and foremost, you got to make sure that position is correct. So this lifter has been dealing with some flexibility issues for a little while, and we have been working those out. So she's getting a better rack position. She's getting more upright in her front squats and her cleans, getting more flexible in her hips, and it can get lower between her ankles there and sit a little bit more upright. So there's some likelihood that she's actually getting the bar up higher into the neck and actually meeting her cleans more efficiently and choking off the neck there. So I would consider that and just making sure that we're getting a nice solid rack position. Then I would say the most common scenario would be some sort of dehydration. It has been warmer lately and sweating a bit more in the workouts. And if there hasn't been any compensation or a hydration strategy to meet those needs, dehydration will kind of dry up the blood and thin the plasma out a bit to where she can get the blood's going to move a little bit slower. It's going to be more viscous, and it can cause some lightheadedness there. So, just a good strategy there, just making sure you're getting enough fluids during the day, in electrolytes as well, in the form of, say, fruits and vegetables, things like that, maybe general multivitamin. But if that's really not covering your needs, then maybe even some sports drinks as a plan B during the workout. So some kind of, fluid and electrolyte drink with some glucose in it to get you through the workout. But even more simple than that, a good strategy is to weigh yourself before the workout and see what your body weight is, and then weigh yourself afterwards to see how much water you're actually losing during the workout. So you can see if there's any kind of excess loss or change in how much you're losing per workout. So you may, after a workout, try to rehydrate as many pounds as you've lost in fluid, or even multiply that number by 1.5 to actually compensate what you lost, plus get the needs you need for recovery's sake afterwards. So looking at fluid and electrolyte status there would be the next thing after positions, and getting the bar a little bit higher on the neck, making sure you're off the carotids there. Then looking at changes in nutritional status. So any recent changes in dietary intake, the pattern, the times that you eat, the types of foods you eat. You're going on a low carb sort of approach suddenly to lose some weight for summer or whatever the case might be, or a competition. Changing blood glucose levels can definitely change symptoms of hypoglycemia and sort of lightheadedness. So if you just happen to go, change those things up, you got to consider how that's going to affect you during the workout. So compare that to what you're doing before you started experiencing these lightheaded episodes. Then I would look at something like blood pressure and anemia. So first, blood pressure. Of course, if we're dehydrated, that's gonna, like I said, it's gonna make the blood more susceptible to making symptoms of high blood pressure increased. So anything from stress to lack of sleep to overtraining or overreaching, things like that, you got to consider that might be causing. That could be the only difference, and suddenly you're experiencing high blood pressure symptoms as a result. So just checking how you're recovering from workouts. Are you getting progressively weaker? Are you not bouncing back? Are your numbers going down? Things of that nature. So consider that, and perhaps any work changes, lifestyle changes, any other stressors that might be changing that. Then any kind of medications you might be taking that could be a new medication, or even blood thinners or painkillers that you might be taking for joint pain or something like that. Or even fish oil, if you started going on taking fish oil or a higher protocol fish oil. Even thinning the blood out can actually cause some blood pressure issues. The blood's going to be a little bit more fluid and move around a bit more, and can actually be likely to cause some of those symptoms as well. So then finally, I'd say looking at anemia. So women in childbearing ages are more susceptible to anemia. So go down your checklist of everything from excessive blood loss, any bruising or bleeding or anything like that you might be experiencing, any iron deficiency anemia, vitamin deficiencies like B6 or B12, or pregnancy or anything like that. So I think we've covered it all there. So that would be pretty much the main things I would look at first. Then finally, this is more of a preliminary thing I would say earlier in the checklist, but just breathing patterns. Sometimes I've noticed through the years that I've just changed up the way I breathe before the rep and during the rep of a snatch or a clean, and that can radically change the amount of pressure inside. So if you may do a Valsalva maneuver where you actually inhale and hold your air, that's sometimes suggested in order to keep a tighter midsection in diaphragm and core and whatnot. So that can actually increase blood pressure radically during your reps. So if that's something you just started doing, you'll definitely notice probably a symptom of lightheadedness and need to work on that strategy of how you're breathing on the clean rack to your recovery to getting a quick new breath of air to get prepared for the jerk there. So perhaps a little less pressure on that, a little less air volume as you do your Valsalva maneuver perhaps. Or perhaps you're even not breathing as aggressively, or you're kind of shallow, not getting enough air. So you're losing air and oxygen to the brain a little bit quicker, and maybe you're hollow with your air and you're not getting enough air pre or during the rep as you're setting up. So some simple things like that could also be the culprit. So go through the checklist, see what works, experiment with each one of those things, maybe one at a time to see what the cause and effect there is, and see if you can work out the problem. Good luck.